Good morning. Right, let's talk sleeping bags. What I've got and why. And why I think also there should be a few changes on how sleeping bags are advertised or described. Personal view, of course, but I think it can be very misleading. So let's have a look at what we got. Before we go too far, let's think about pack size. It always amazes me when I sort of get them together, the difference between something like the big Vango Nightstar, which is, you know, winter time for me, and the little Snugpak Jungle. The difference in size there is ridiculous. It's probably a third of the size of those. Compressed, it compresses easier than this does. Fully compressed, probably a quarter in size difference. Makes a massive difference. But yeah, let's have a look at them a bit more in detail. Not massively, it's not like I'm reviewing each one, but my thoughts and why I chose them. Right, on the small sofa, swamped with sleeping bags. So let's start with the smallest. I need my glasses on because the writing on them is small. Although I'm a fan of sleeping bags, it's not like I know them off by heart. So the Snugpak Jungle, a new edition. I've only used it a few times. Really impressed with it though. I mainly bought it partly because I wanted a very lightweight bag for the summer. A, not to get too hot, and B, obviously the pack size. So I'll go smaller bag. What do they say on here? I'm not sure they even show the temperature on here. I can't bloody read it. If they do, it's printed very, very small. Well, that's a waste of bloody time putting the glasses on. I can't read it. But I think they term it as a one season bag, you know, a summer bag. For me, probably sort of 2 seasons in a way, because I'm thinking, for me, on the south coast, late spring, it would be fine. Obviously summertime and early autumn, because I mean the autumn weather can be nice, can't it? You know, thinking September's into October's, you can get some nice sunny weather. I used this early October in a hammock. I did have an under blanket, so that obviously does make a big difference. But I was actually finding this lovely, toasty, warm. So for my small, lightweight sort of option, it's the Jungle bag now, which, yeah, I recommend. The other thing you'll see with all of my bags, price. I'm not sure that I've got anything here much over £50. It's partly because I'm a bit tight, to be perfectly honest. I've got better things to spend my money on. And I don't mind it being slightly more bulky, slightly heavier. If it's less than half the price, I can live with that, to be honest. So yeah, these I think are 35-ish pounds. Great value for money for a small pack. I like that. Drop him down there. Now, temperature wise, going up slightly, something is a bit of an odd one, the DD Jura 2. Now, I've got mixed feelings about the Jura 2. As a design, I really like it. The centre zip, etc. is brilliant for hammock use. Of course, you can use it in a tent, use it wherever you bloody like, but centre zip for a hammock is always a good call. The waterproof foot box, I think, is a bit pointless. It adds weight. You don't really need it. If they got rid of it, it would compress a lot smaller. Bag would be lighter, but that's just a personal thing. Also, if you check on the DD website, they talk about, you know, comfortable down to -5. What they don't say is that in a hammock? Is that in a tent? Is that in a bivvy? If it's hammock, does that include using an under blanket? It's very, very vague. I would say using it as a normal sleeping bag, there's no way I would use this at -5. Once it gets below about +5, I will start to feel chilly in this, depending whether I'm wearing a base layer, etc. Depending what I've got on. But yeah, don't go thinking this is going to be the answer to your winter bag solutions. Some people it might be if you sleep very, very hot, but for me personally, I would never advise anyone to think of this as a 3-season at best. I wouldn't push it any further than that at all. I still like it, but it's not as warm as it could be. Let's put it that way. But for hammock use, it is a bag that I use an awful lot. It's very versatile. If I'm in the hammock with an under blanket, I would say for 3-season, absolutely fine. 2 to 3-season tent use. Okay. Again, not particularly expensive. I think they're £50–60 now, something like that. I think that is possibly a bit expensive for what you're getting. I think that's overpriced. Personal view. Now, next would be one of my favourites, the Eurohike down hybrid. Down hybrid because it's half down, half synthetic, to keep costs down, essentially. Again, around the £50 mark. It compresses well because it's got a certain amount of down in it. It's not silly heavy. They show here 1.38 kilos. It's, yeah, well, I suppose it is. That's a bit misleading, I think. That sounds like it's a heavy bag, but it's not. It's fine. They mark it as 3-season, suggested minimum 1 degree. I think that's fair. I would go with that. I would definitely say this is a 3-season bag. I'm happy using this spring, summer, autumn. It's just a very good all-rounder. If it was slightly warmer, I could possibly use it in the winter, mild winter. And say on the south coast, it doesn't get that cold. So yeah, very good option, that one. Very good option indeed. Now we're ramping up to the big boys. Size of this kiddie. Yes, it does compress. It goes down to about half this. Vango Nightstar 375. Their suggested usage, which I think in some ways is rubbish, -7 to +17. Now the -7 bit I can believe because it is an extremely warm bag. +17, I'd die in this. It'd be just way too warm. The same as they market 3 to 4 season, which is something I alluded to earlier, the way these things are marketed. 3 to 4 season, that's rubbish, because there's no way in hell that you'd use this in the summer. The majority of spring, unless it's very early spring, and the majority of autumn, unless it's very, very late autumn, it's going to be too hot. I would like to say that this is a 1 to 2 season bag, the 1 being winter, and the 2 seasons sort of like creeping into the season either side. I do have a real problem with the way they call these bags different seasons. A 1 season bag, well, it could be a winter bag, yet a 1 season bag is normally described as a summer bag. It doesn't make sense. And a bag that is warm enough and rated for midwinter, you're never going to use that midsummer. So how can it be 4 season? Makes no sense at all to me. No sense at all. But yeah, the Vango Nightstar, that is my winter bag. I could probably only use this for a couple of months, you know, the real coldest of weather, because it is ridiculously warm. Again, not expensive. I think they're around the £40 mark. Yes, it's big. Yes, it's bulky, but it is good. Very good. Now we have a bit of an odd one. This kitty here, big bulky pack, a bit like the Nightstar, although it's lighter. This is the Eurohike, Adventurer 300. It's pitched as a 3-season, and that's sort of correct, I suppose. Spring, summer, autumn. They reckon that the peak spot for this is +3 to -3. I've used it around 0 and it's perfectly capable of that, so they're probably okay. Generally, this is just a chilly weather bag, or it used to be before I've got some of the others. I've had this one a long time. It's an autumn bag for me, an autumn or spring bag. On the rare occasion it comes out, 9 times out of 10 now, this just sits at home as a backup type bag. But if I was going to do a long road type trip, driving in winter, iffy weather type stuff, where there's a possible you might get stuck somewhere or something like that, whether it be car or truck, this would be what I'd throw in it. Because even in winter time, inside a vehicle, it's enough. So this is now more of a rough weather travelling bag rather than camping. But it's a good old thing. I've had it a long time. I still rate it, especially since you can pick it up now for about 25 quid. Comes on to the final, which is, I don't even know which way up this is because it's not in a stuff sack, because I haven't got a stuff sack for it. The current British Army medium weight bag. They don't give these a season. I think they recommend they're okay down to something like -15, something like that. Although that's the military talking up there, so that's using military kit and clothing. For Mr. Joe Average, I suppose, if you wanted to use the season type thing, it's a 3-season bag. For me on the south coast, it's fine midwinter as well. If it was ever silly cold and I wanted to use this, I could always take the jungle bag, stick the jungle bag inside it. It's how this was designed to work. It's part of a modular system, and the lightweight bag is designed to fit inside this outer. I do really like that one. I don't get to use it as much as I would like to, purely because it's too warm. But now we're into November. It's getting to the period where it'll be nice in the hammock, this one. Centre zip, much like the DD. Really, it's the bag that the DD should have been. It's what the DD is based on. It's got all the same features, centre zip, it's got the same internal pockets, all that sort of thing. It just hasn't got the same hood style. It has got a hood, but it's much more enclosed with a small breathing hole, where the DD's got a big hood with a much more open face. But yeah, this is what the DD should have been, in my opinion, which is a shame, really. Because I like the DD bag. I just think it's got a few drawbacks to it. This, however, there's nothing I sort of don't like about it. Yes, it's a bit bulky to pack. Doesn't normally go in a stuff sack. A, because I haven't got one. B, because it's more convenient just to ram it into the bottom of your rucksack and then just put everything else on top of it and squish it. Yes, it's a little bit heavier, but it's no worse than the big Nightstar or anything like that. It's probably up around the 2 kilo mark, to be fair, something like that. But it's worth it for the benefit you get from sleeping in something like this when it's very cold. So these, depending where you buy them from, obviously they're all surplus. I've seen them as low as 20-25 quid, as high as 50. Still excellent value. Compared with the civilian market, to get the same sort of features, same temperature, etc., you'd have to pay more than that. So good value, medium weight, current army bag. So that's what I've got, and that's when I use them. I say this whole season thing does annoy me slightly. It's not very clear, I don't think, for people that are maybe new into camping and they haven't sort of come across this before. I think it'd be a better system if they just scrapped this whole season lark and just give you a temperature range, a true temperature range. None of this extreme lark, because these extreme temperatures are just ridiculous. Just a normal use. This is the point where you're going to be too hot. This is the point where you're going to start getting cold. No one wants to go to the extremes at either end. It's just not bloody comfortable and possibly dangerous. So just give a range in the middle that's comfortable for most people. I think that'd be a much better way to do it personally. But yeah, that's what I've got. Any questions about any of them, give me a shout. I can go into depth on any one of them if you wish. I can also probably give you links to any one of them, the cheapest price that I can find, because I'm tight. Okay, thanks for watching.